Brita Filter is the Moana of Manhattan. From the Big Island to the Big Apple, this curvy, fierce creature fuses campy drag with uptown funk. Lighting up the stages of New York City every night of the week, Brita has developed her signature anything but pure style, putting a naughty twist on otherwise innocent topics. She's been featured on television's RuPaul Drag Season 12 on VH1, Shades, Queen of NYC on Fusion, Saturday Night Live with Katy Perry, Broad City with Alan Cumming, and has won the New York Nightlife Awards for Entertainment of the Year and Best Host. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Talk Story Series with Brita Filter. Brought to you by the SoCal Pacific Islander COVID Response Team and the Asian American and Pacific Islander Civic Engagement Fund, a project of Neo Philanthropy Incorporated. Now here's your host, Q from Island Block Radio, and our special guest, Brita Filter. Yo, what's up, everybody? It is your boy Q, and welcome to the Talk Story Series. We got a tremendous guest today, one of the preeminent entertainers in our community, and this is brought to you by the SoCal Pacific Islander COVID-19 Response and the Asian American and Pacific Islander Civic Engagement Fund. This is a project of Neo Philanthropy Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the beautiful, the fierce Brita Filter in the building. How you doing, Brita?
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm great. You know, it's a little warm outside with wearing all this gig, but I'm so happy to be here with you.
Well, you know what? I've in order to do my due diligence, I've looked at some of the videos, and I understand to prevent the sweaty eyebrows, you got to put the glue sticks up there in order for there to be no cracks.
Yes.
Right?
You gotta put the glue stick. I go a step ahead, and I put this like hospital medical grade glue on my face to make sure I don't sweat, so I look beautiful. Because you know, as Polynesians, I'm a girl that loves to sweat. I'm a sweater.
You know what? It is really it's an amazing thing what you're doing. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're being your true you, and for that, I gotta applaud you. You're living your life, and you're doing it on such a grand scale, worldwide. You got a worldwide audience, and you got fans all over the place. How's it feel coming from being Polynesian, being a Pacific Islander, in a culture where kind of stepping out and I guess just kind of working hard and being humble is the cultural norm, but you've had a way of going out and kind of expressing yourself to the world. How does that make you feel?
You know, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel amazing. You know, the things that when I was growing up, I as a small little Tongan kid, I never really had any people who acted like me and who looked like me growing up. We all had The Rock. But The Rock wasn't putting wigs and makeup on.
That is true.
So it was just, it meant so much to me being on RuPaul's Drag Race and being able to be the first Polynesian drag queen on that show, because I know that there's so many of us. I know that in Tonga, before I was on Drag Race, my aunt would tell me about this contest that they would have called Miss Galaxy, and would show me all the girls in Tonga competing, and I was like, that is drag right there. I was like, I didn't even know that they were doing drag in Tonga, and look at me over here. So it's pretty amazing, and I'm so grateful to be that person that like queer people, queer Polynesians look up to, because I don't think we really had anyone like that to look up to. And so for me, it really means a lot. I get all these messages on social media, people just reaching out and saying how grateful they are to look up to someone like me. So truly that warms my heart so much.
I mean, certainly not to the level that you've brought in regards to being a drag queen, being Polynesian. The beautiful thing I think about our culture as Pacific people is we do embrace diversity, and it's not a bad thing to be a part of that community. Like, we embrace it. So I'm inspired by you. I'm sure that there are folks out there who are inspired too, and so kudos to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it's so nice to be here talking to another Polynesian.
Hey, the interesting thing is this is a different time. The world is in a different place right now, and we are all facing a new norm. unfortunately, with this pandemic. And we're gonna cut right to it. How have you been holding up during the pandemic?
I've had a really hard time. Like mentally, I've had a really hard time. Like I could lie to people and say, it's been fine. I've just been eating a lot. But no, I've had a hard time. If you told me a year ago that I would be staying at my mom's house watching my entire season of RuPaul's Drag Race on TV at her house, I wouldn't have believed you.
Right.
And it's hard because my mom and my stepdad both work in healthcare, and I have pre-existing conditions, so I've been very, very careful. I have asthma and a bunch of other things, and I've been just very careful because I get sick really easily. So I've been trying to stay inside and to not really like socialize as much, and being a spokesperson for my community and an advocate for health and everything else. I think that it's had. I love meeting people and I love hanging out and I love going to a party.
Right.
So I've had a hard time, and I got to tell myself that all of us are kind of going through this together, and that we need to realize that kind of helps ease the pain, and seeing that I'm not getting as much as I'd like to done. But I also have to just remind myself to be kind to myself during all of this. But also use my voice for good is a big part with everything that's going on in the world. I mean, I found out that last week that Pacific Islanders, the cases of COVID went up, and it increased from 10,000 to 11,000, and that's a 1,000 jump in the United States in 1 week, and that's insane to me. So I hope that by using my voice and my platform, I can tell people within our community that they need to be super due diligent on trying to stay safe, especially with those people that live in multi-generation homes. Like I know that my family does in Hawaii, and so we got to be super careful because it doesn't. This virus does not discriminate.
That part.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, much to your point, the curve for our community is never flat, and cases have climbed from day one and continue to climb. And I think about our people. We love to gather around each other. We are avid supporters of our family, and every time we see someone who is a family member, we give them a kiss on the cheek or we give them a hug, and it's like we have to kind of curve that cultural norm. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's always those because I was raised LDS, and so when we would always go on Mondays. We'd have family home evening. We'd go into the house of your auntie's house. You kiss them on the cheek and just rub them and smell them. You know how we do. That's it. Yeah. We gotta be careful, and we can't really do that as much. And it's hard. I mean, I've even brought it into the drag culture because we do the same exact thing, is a kiss on the cheek. And so I've had to just be careful and remind myself that, I can't do this now, but once there's a vaccine, then we can do this, and we can get back to our normal life and hanging out with our family and our cousins and eating all that delicious food. That's my favorite part.
You're right. You're reminding me that I have actually gained the COVID-19, 19 pounds. 19 pounds that is. So
listen, I got you. I've gained the COVID 30. Yes, I've been eating. I may look like a beautiful woman right now, but I'm eating like a Polynesian man when this comes all off.
You look fierce, girl. You look fierce.
Thank
You know, I got to give props to our Polynesian brothers and sisters out in Aotearoa in New Zealand, because they really kind of, they really kind of hit it off at the pass. And like the Prime Minister said, there's a team of 5 million people. Kind of, if everyone focuses and follows the CDC guidelines, avoiding gatherings, wear your mask, wash your hands, staying 6 feet distance between you and others, that we really could get a handle on this. And especially being Polynesian, Micronesian, or Melanesian, being a Pacific Islander, again, we talk about the cultural norm for us is to gather. And so to those folks who are, tired of this, they're tired of wearing the masks. They're tired of not seeing their family because, we're a family-oriented culture. What do you say to those folks?
You know, I say that it's so important to sometimes you have to sacrifice some things in order for the safety and the health of your family. And you know, I was thinking about going home for a little bit, but I know that the minute that I get on that plane, it wouldn't be good because my dad just had surgery before all this happened. And,
Right.
you know, I would hate to get my family sick. And, you know, it's at times where you don't even think that, like, you could get sick. You could be in the drive-through and then all of a sudden someone could talk to you and you could accidentally get sick and bring it to your family. So, I mean, and I know that as all of us Pacific Islanders, our big way of celebrating a lot of events is by having our family together and being together. And, you know, and you know, at this time, I've had to really just think of all my blessings and and what I'm grateful for. And something that I've been doing that can help other people is that, like, if we have Zoom, then it's a great way for our families to get together, to stay at our own home, but we can all gather together and we can eat our food together while we're on the computer. I know it's a little different, but in the long run, it'll just help our families to be safe. And you know, I know that when I was growing up, my family didn't have very much money. My dad was my dad was straight up off the boat from Tonga, came over here when he was 18. And so I know that we didn't have a lot of money and we lived in a house with a lot of our family members. So I think it's just super important to remember to wash your hands, wear your mask. It's a pain in the butt.
Right.
It's a pain in the butt, especially if you're trying to exercise out there and it's hot and you got that mask on. It's a pain in the butt, but we need to do it to just protect our family. And I feel like that's the thing that Polynesians hold near and dear to their heart as Pacific Islanders, is that we love our family so much. So if we just gotta make some sacrifices, and that's important. And I know my mom specifically, my mom, she works for the government, and so she was deployed out to San Antonio, Texas, because of all the COVID that was there, and so she was away for a month. And what the stories that she told me of people not being able to be with their family, and you know, you got to make these sacrifices because you don't want your family member to die alone in the hospital because they accidentally got this because you weren't careful.
Right.
So it's just super important.
And really to that point, you know, as we do kind of gather and as we are being socially distant from each other, small gatherings can actually give a false sense of security. And so kind of staying vigilant, especially to the elders in the community. You know, we have to ensure their safety. And so, no, I totally agree. And shout out to your folks who are on the front lines and to everybody who is tuned in out there. We are interviewing Britta Filter. You guys are tuned in to the Talk Story series. It is your boy Q from Island Block Radio. So how have you been as an entertainer? I'm going to go back to your entertainment. This is amazing to me. You inspire so many really in the LGBTQ community, as well as outside of the community, because at the end of the day, you're inspiring folks to live their truth and to be them and to be expressive in the way that they want to be. How have you been coping? I know the live gigs are you know, few and far between. So what have you been doing, Britta Filter?
You know, everything is kind of switched to online. So I've been doing online stuff. You know, this is usually when you are on a big TV show like RuPaul's Drag Race, we usually tour the world afterwards. And I was really looking forward to like going to Australia, to New Zealand, to see all of my other Pacific Islanders out there. But unfortunately, we can't do that. But, you know, it's a time, I think it's good because it's a time to reflect during this time. And it's time for me, I usually have no time at all. So like now, I have time to create things, to like think of like when this is all done, the cool stuff that I'm going to show people and the cool performances that I have in store. And, you know, I can teach myself certain things like how to sew.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let me ask you this. So what is tell me one of the new things that Britta Filter has learned during this pandemic?
Well, listen, I've been doing a lot of sewing. It was something that I wasn't very great on RuPaul's Drag Race. So I've been learning that. I've been cooking. I've been missing so much of my family's cooking. So I was like, all right, I'm in my 30s. It is time for me. I'm not that busy. It is time for me to figure out how to make that hooly chicken. It's about time, and that macaroni salad.
Yeah.
So that's how I put on the COVID 30.
There is no excuse, Brita Filter. There is no excuse for you not to learn those menus. So shout out to you. Congratulations. Look, hey, you know what? I don't want to take up too much more of your time. In terms of you kind of carving out some time for the community and kind of bringing this to light, you're utilizing your celebrityism. We appreciate you. For more information, make sure that you guys go to the PacificIslanderHealth.org. That's www.PacificIslanderHealth.org. Once again, this is the Talk Story series with Brita Filter, and this is brought to you by the SoCal Pacific Islander COVID-19 Response Team and the Asian American and Pacific Islander Civic Engagement Fund, a project of Neo Philanthropy Incorporated. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs that you want to give out there, Brita Filter?
Listen, I want to make sure that all my Pacific Islander friends out there, not only do they take care of their health, but they also fill out their census and that they vote. Those are the two important things. If you like me, do that.
I love it. The census, vote, and wash your hands.
That's right. Wash your hands. Add me on Instagram at @TheBritaFilter.
I love it. Hey, it is your boy Q from Island Block Radio. She is the beautiful, the fierce, the voluptuous Brita Filter. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great one, y'all. Let's go.
I love people, I love performing, and I look good doing it. There's no hair on that side.